we go any further, is everyone familiar with the Wim Hof Method, or Wim Hof is? Okay. Well, then you're in for a treat. I'm going to, in this webinar, give a short introduction, because it's a long story, but there's also a lot of information online, on YouTube. Wim Hof has a very good website and a free app, where there's lots and lots of information if you want to dive deeper into it. And so in this webinar, I want to kind of give an introduction to what the Wim Hof Method means to me. And I want to give a few tips, tricks, insights that I've learned over the last almost 2.5 years of practicing this method that can help to make some shortcuts, get some motivation and inspiration in order to practice this method in a way that feels really, really good for you. One of the side effects of practicing this method is that you're gonna create a deep connection with yourself. And so it's almost about rediscovering yourself in a very gentle, fun, and yet also powerful way. What I enjoy about this, that this method is very, very powerful, yet it moves very smoothly and gradual. My experience so far is that the things that come up and the things that transform are always in the time and in a way that are compatible and in alignment with my own being. So just to let you know, tell you a little bit about myself. So my name is Yuri Radomisli, and I'm half Turkish, half Dutch, born in Turkey, and lived large part of my life in Holland. Studied business management in California, and from that experience I basically became some kind of a professional hippie, for lack of better terms. Being in California to expose me to a lot of alternative lifestyles and methods and ideas and all of that good stuff. And so after I completed my studies in management, I became a massage therapist. And as I was studying massage therapy, I started to become interested in permaculture design, healthy lifestyles. I was a raw foodist for a while. And yeah, all of the alternative stuff that you can possibly think of. So that has been my life in a nutshell for the last 20 years. I was living in Turkey for quite some time. 4 years in Bodrum, where I had a boat, sailing around, making my living as a therapist, as a massage therapist. And 3 months out of the year, I would return back to California to keep on studying massage therapy, practicing and learning permaculture, and doing everything in between that range of fun stuff that was connected with consciousness, ecology, free and healthy living. So my quest has always been, my deep interest into mysticism, indigenous knowledge, and basically anything that makes life good, in my opinion. So good, healthy food, inspiring interactions, natural environments, all of that good stuff. So in those 20 years, I was always asking a lot of big questions to myself, and I was looking at the world, and as quite a sensitive person, as many of us probably are that are joining here and will see this video later, looking around into the world and, well, seeing the good things and also noticing the not so good things perhaps. And I was always interested in finding the solutions to problems such as health, environment, community. And in that search, I've come across a lot of interesting people, been to many interesting places. And I was always looking for, like, how can I save the world? Now it's already quite some time ago, but around 2012, I thought there was going to be this big shift going on, and well, which is going on. But I really thought that, okay, there's very little time, and there's a lot of things to do, and I have to save the world. I know from experience that I'm not the only one thinking in that way. And feeling that, but yeah, I was taking it very, very seriously, and I was using all my resources and energy in order to answer those big questions. And it wasn't until, well, I got a lot of the answers to those questions, and yet I was still walking around with kind of like what I later noticed, quite a lot of anxiety. If you think and look around the world as if everything is going wrong, and that everything needs to be solved, and it all has to happen now, then that is kind of like quite a big burden to carry. And at some point I kind of had a spiritual, well, kind of like an all-round meltdown, and how do you call it, burnout, which I didn't realize. So I continued carrying on for a couple of years in that state. In the meantime, I lost 3 relatives in the last 10 years, all to cancer: my dad, my uncle, and my sister. My mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and that was a whole story. In the meantime, 1 or 2 heartbreaks. And so, yeah, living a very good life with lots of things that life brings too, the hardcore reality of stuff. So I was on this search to save the planet, and yet I had plenty of stuff going on in my own life as well. And at some point, yeah, it all resulted in kind of going into a bit of a, yeah, burnout. I can really call it that. And I didn't recognize all that, because kind of my attitude is like, all right, don't make such a big fuss about it. Just keep on going. It's all good. And hadebakkalem. So this all started to change when I one day learned the Wim Hof Method. And I don't want to make it sound like some kind of airy-fairy thing, like, oh, then I found that and everything changed. But it did. So I cannot go around that. Up to that point, I kind of had kind of a global ADD. I would want to do something or go somewhere, and then I would just, you know, being impulsive by nature, just go and do it. So I had several times that I would find myself on the other side of the world, thinking like, oh, yeah, 2 days ago I decided to come here, bought my ticket and flew to the other side of the world. Now I'm here. Now what? And these impulses have brought me lots of good things, but it also showed me that every once in a while I could kind of step on my own feet. The Wim Hof Method helped to pull me back to earth, put my feet on the ground, clear my head, and open my heart. And that is all kind of like a nice formula in order to step forth into the world. So, I hope to give you a little bit of an intro about me. I would love to learn a little bit more about you, and this webinar is all about you. I'm just sharing with you a little bit of my experience, and I hope that you can then be inspired and take some of this on and apply it for yourself. And then be creative with it, take it as you wish. But I think the Wim Hof Method is a great foundation. It's a great tool for everyday use to establish a connection from within and to step into the world from that connection. It helps to be that permaculture designer of the inner ecology, and from that inner state, step into the world with a vibration and with a vibrational footprint that helps to put lots of good things that are in alignment from the inside out, rather than constantly reacting to what is coming from the outside world. To me, it's magic. And a permaculture activist called Starhawk once said, or says, I heard her once say, that magic is the ability to create desired change. And that is what, for me, the Wim Hof Method is all about. Mam, ik ben bezig. Ik ben nu bezig. That's my mom. Just a second, please. Ik moet even hier zitten. Ja? Ik moet hier even zitten.
Ik versta je niet.
Ik moet hier even zitten. Ik ben online.
Ja, dan snap ik. Ik zeg niks.
Okay. Nice. So obviously at my mom's house at the moment. And I told her that I was going to do this webinar, but hello to Alzheimer's. So, yeah. So the way I want to introduce the Wim Hof Method is in alignment to the view and philosophy of the Whoosh Okulu. And thank you very much for inviting me here. And I've known Big Wim for a couple of years now. We met in council, and great practice. And I think we're all kind of share the same vision of creating good stuff in the world, in community, and living a good life. So I asked Big Wim a little bit like, what she wants to achieve through the Whoosh Okulu, and with the owl kind of being symbolic of being the being that sees the light in the darkness, no matter how big the darkness may seem and however small the light might be or seem to be, to always find that way in troubling times. So I think it's quite appropriate for this time that we're in now, with the whole coronavirus and everything, that we can make a lot of fuss about, and obviously is quite serious. But it's also a great opportunity to connect with this beautiful world that is shining so bright right now, and in the natural world is doing so well. I saw on TV yesterday that there's so many more births of all kinds of animals, just because they have the space and the peace in order to make more life, I suppose. So I really look at this time as a great opportunity for introspection, to reflect, and to make intelligent moves forward from a good feeling place. So seeing the light in the darkness, connecting stories, and showing that we're all one organism, we're all connected, we're all one being. So stepping from that whole paradigm that everything is compartmentalized in pieces, that we all need to figure it out, whereas in the same time, it's all good already anyway. We're all connected, and we're awakening to that consciousness and to that experience. Then also acknowledging ancestors and the ancient knowledge the lineages that have been passed on to us now, bringing us to this moment. All that has ever been, all that has ever been done is bringing up to the forefront of this new experience, into this new moment. And we want to make all kinds of things out of it, predict the future and understand all kinds of stuff. But really, we're at the forefront of existence. So we have all that what is past behind us, and we're standing into this very new, fresh moment, which in a way you can kind of look at as being a kind of a darkness or being into an unknown. This can bring anxiety, it can bring stress, it can bring all different kinds of things. But I think if we step into our true purpose and realize that we are creative beings, then it is all just fun and games. And we get the conscious opportunity to step into the next moment from, with intelligence, from a place of love, from a place with soul, and make something good out of it, realize our dreams. This is what I love about Begum announcing the Baikushokuru, that it's it's a dream coming true. So every moment we have all these dreams coming true, And the indigenous people have a lot of things to say about this. And this is all knowledge that is coming forth more stronger and stronger, and is starting to make sense in a completely different way. Not only intellectually, but with an experience attached to that. That's another thing we'll do today. Understand the Wim Hof method a little bit intellectually, but then attach an experience to it. So we're going to practice it. And then it's about connection. It's about the environment. It's about being in this life. One of my dear permaculture teachers, Warren Brush, says that we're all connected to nature, whether we realize it or not. And it's up to us how far we want to deepen this connection. So for me, these are important things. And not only important, when this connection is established, life is just so much more better and fun and exciting and good. So, yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So, who is Wim Hof? Wim Hof is seen as this very kind of crazy, energetic, flamboyant Dutch guy who is doing things around the world that previously had been thought were humanly impossible. He is known as the Iceman, and that is because the method is based on 3 components. One of them is breathing, one of them is mindset, and the other one is gradual exposure to cold. I will go into these 3 pillars, as they are called, step by step. But the gradual exposure to cold is one of the key elements to the Wim Hof method. Wim Hof has shown that it is possible to make a connection and to influence our own immune systems and our own parasympathetic nervous systems. So the parasympathetic nervous system is things like the system that keeps your heart beating, that keeps you breathing, that keeps all the organs doing what they're doing. And until this point, it has always been thought that this happens randomly and that we don't have a conscious influence over those mechanisms. And Wim Hof has shown, no, actually, we are capable of much more than we think, and we can actually influence our unconsciousness consciously. So the things that we think that happen automatically, we can actually learn to manage and direct in order to create desired change. And here we come back to the magic. Wim Hof did that by doing crazy things like walking on the Himalayas in his shorts, swimming underneath the ice, He did a half marathon on his bare feet in the snow somewhere in the Arctic, above the dead zone, they call it. If you stay there for some time, you just freeze to death. And he has shown that he can not only survive it, but that he can actually, be very comfortable in those kind of environments. He can actually make his body temperature and his skin temperature go up while being in freezing cold. And these are things that previously by science have been told were not possible. And he shows, yeah, it is possible. And it's not only possible for him to do it, but he also showed that he can teach this to other people, and that it's not only some special ability that he contains. So his mission is around the world is to show that people can be happy, healthy, and strong, no matter who you are, no matter what your condition is, and to tap into those inner resources and inner power in order to overcome disease, overcome things like depression, and become a healthy participant in the world, and most of all in your own reality. In the last times with the whole coronavirus, people are going crazy, literally, with stress and with anxiety and all these kind of things. And Wim Hof shows you, you don't have to live life this way. We have all an innate power that is really, really strong. And there's no reason why we wouldn't live a happy, healthy life. So, but the cold is a very important aspect of it, and the key word to it is gradual cold exposure. You don't have to jump into an ice bath and stay there for 3 minutes right away. Step by step, slowly, and I'll get a little bit more into that. Then there is the breathing. And what I love about the breathing aspect of the Wim Hof method is that it's very simple. I can actually demonstrate it right now. You can do it along with me. First step is deep breath in, filling the lungs. So just go for it. And just letting go. So breathing in and breathing out. That's it. And even though it is really, really, really simple, this can take you on a journey of what breathing is, and keep on learning. That is how it's been for me. Just doing something simple as taking a deep breath in has taken me on a whole quest of what it means to simply breathe in. And the cool thing is that once you start connecting with it, your body is going to start showing you what it means to you. And I'll get into that a little bit more later. So it's deeply breathing in, filling up the lungs completely, and then just letting out the air in a comfortable, easy way. So it's not really blowing out the air, it's more about just letting go. So filling the body with air, and then just letting go and relaxing. The way Wim Hof talks about it is he fills up the belly, then the chest, and then letting it go up to the head, and making it like a wave coming onto the shore. It's moving through your body in a wave form. So filling the belly, the chest, and the head, and then simply letting go. Then the next step in this method is doing this about 30 or 40 times. What happens is that the breaths are a little bit more than the out breaths. So you take quite in a lot of air and you blow out, release less air. And doing this after some time, it oxygenates the body. It starts to activate all your cells. Your body is getting oxygenized. And after doing this some time, your body actually starts to become alkaline. Many times in different systems and diets, we work towards alkalinity because it is said that in alkalinity, no disease or no bad bacteria can flourish. So this is a very long process, but in this Wim Hof method, you can do this, bringing the body to an alkaline state within 20 minutes. So this is quite a radical step. So your body is becoming oxygenized, your cells start to experience something, your hormones start to kick in, because your body is starting to kind of get into a fight or flight sort of state. When you're in nature and you're coming into a situation where you need to be alert, usually the heart rate goes up a little bit, you start to breathe more intensely, and the body's getting ready. So in this method in this way of breathing, that is kind of what starts to happen. The body starts to go like, all right, it's time to make something happen. As we do this, the body might start to tingle a little bit, and the head might become a little bit lightheaded. You might feel a little bit dizzy. There can be all kinds of different sensations that start to take place. Temperature of your body might start changing. You might experience different things. It's important to say that when you do this, you shouldn't be driving or doing things that require your attention. It's always important to do this method when you're completely relaxed. Of course, I didn't always do this because I had to see why it was said not to do it in the car, for example. And yeah, I can honestly say that just don't do it while you're driving. Sometimes when I'm driving and when I'm in my head, I start doing the Wim Hof method automatically. So I started to do deep breathing, just because it feels good. But then this tingle starts, and your mind really goes into a different mode. And as I was driving, all of a sudden, I would feel like, oh, okay, I'm going into a different space, and it would require a little bit of time also to come back to normal. It feels really good, but you should be able to completely let go and not do anything dangerous while you're doing it. After 30-40 breaths, the body gets oxygenized. And then after that time, after the 30th or 40th breath, take a last deep breath in, and then fully blow out all the air, and then stop breathing. So at this point, the lungs are empty. There's a lot of different things that start happening at this moment, but basically you go into a deep state of meditation and a deep state of relaxation. The heart rate starts to drop, mind goes quiet, and when you are a beginner, you can easily hold your breath for about 1 or 1.5 minutes. Your body starts to take up the oxygen. The carbon dioxide and oxygen levels in your body change, and because you're also in a more alkaline state, you actually need less oxygen in order to feel comfortable. The hormone system starts to balance out, and the body basically goes into a reset. So you become very still, you become very quiet, become very relaxed, and in that time that you're holding your breath, you can go into a deeper meditation and a deeper state of relaxation that you might experience all throughout the day. What you do then, let go. After a minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes, sometimes 2.5 minutes, you might get the feeling that you want to breathe again. And at that point, take a deep breath in. And then again, hold. This we do for about 15 seconds. What Wim Hof says, now we push a little bit of air to the brain. So we squeeze a little bit and hold for about 15 seconds and then let go. And this is called 1 round. So 30, 40 breaths, deep in, let go, deeply, breathing deeply and letting go. After the last breath, take a deep breath in, blow all the air out, relax, stay in that state for as long as is comfortable. When the next breath comes up, take a deep breath in and hold. As you're holding the breath, after you breathe in and you squeeze it to the head, different reactions start to take place in the head. Some people see colors, some people, you kind of go into a slight trip. Your brain starts to produce actually different dopamines, different substances that usually come from substances like ayahuasca, cannabis, all that kind of stuff. The feel-good hormones start to be released, which is again like a medicine to your body, like a medicine to the mind, and it just feels really good. Wim Hof says you get high on your own supply. So personally, I really like that idea. It feels so good that once I learned this method, I started just to breathe more deeply, but actually enjoying those breaths as well. Just like walking around and go like, and that will give a boost already. And the nice thing about it is that the air is everywhere and it's free. So yeah, why not? All right, I'm jumping around a little bit. So this is a little bit about how the Wim Hof method works. This is the structure: breathing in, breathing out, deep breath in, fully breathing out, wait until you feel you want to breathe again, take a deep breath in, hold for 10-15 seconds, and that's it. This is the Wim Hof method, the breathing part. So I trained in a lot of different disciplines, yoga, qigong, martial arts, and each of those have a lot of different things to say about breathing. But I think what I like about the Wim Hof method, that it's very simple, it's very straightforward, and it's highly, it does what it needs to do. One thing I forgot to mention is that as Wim Hof was doing all these different crazy things that were thought to be humanly impossible, the scientific community started to become interested in what he was doing. They said, hey, wait a minute, what you are doing is actually not possible. So Wim Hof showed that it was possible, and so the scientific studies started to happen. And so now Wim Hof is going into the world showing that people can heal themselves, can activate their own healing mechanisms, and it is all backed up by science of how it works. So it's not just something random. This is something real. The science books in the universities are actually being changed because of the research that is being done according to Wim Hof. And so it's a cool breathing technique, but it's also scientifically backed up of why it works. People are healing from all kinds of depression, but also lots of different cardiovascular diseases. And that all you can find on the website and on the internet. So we got the gradual cold exposure, we have the breathing technique, and then the third pillar is the mindset. And the mindset can basically be summed up quite easily with the quote that we all know, and that's just do it. The only way the Wim Hof method is going to be of benefit to you when you're going to do it. And it is very easy to do, and it's very easy not to do it. I take a cold shower every morning in order to practice, although I never really feel like it. Even though I know that it's good for me. And even though I actually really enjoy it now, there's not one morning that I wake up and think like, all right, let's go and take a cold shower. There's always that resistance. There's always like, yeah, you know, but I can do it a little bit later, or I'll do it tomorrow, or maybe tonight, or something like that. So one way I made myself do this, the just do it part, because the mind is very, very tricky and very, very clever, and will give excellent and beautiful reasons why not to do it. I think I don't have to explain it much. You probably have your own experience with this also. So personally, I had to find a way like, all right, if I have to try, if I want to do this, how can I make myself practice this every day? And I came up with a very effective rule for myself. And I said, all right, I am not going to have coffee until I've done the breathing and took a cold shower in the morning. And yeah, this has worked really, really well for me, because I really like coffee in the morning. And in order to earn it, yeah, I needed to do this breathing and do the cold shower. The cool thing is that it makes the effect of the coffee much better, makes it taste much better. And yeah, it's good to get a reward early in the morning. So the just do it part is very possible. It's very, very important, because this is where the magic happens. One of the things, all right, I'm going to take one step back on how I got into this method. As I'm always interested in everything, workshops and events and gatherings and all that kind of stuff. And with so many things going on, or used to go on, now it's starting to pick up again, but there was always like, oh, I want to join this, I want to join that, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then I always wanted to do everything. But then at the same time, I was like, oh, shall I do this? Can I get into this? I was always going through a long process of first doubt. The people that know me kind of know what I'm talking about. And then, shall I do it? And shall I pay for it? So usually I would show up, or I would sign up for something right after the deadline, and I would arrive to an event like just in the minute. And it was never like, oh, let's do this in 3 months, or do that in 3 months, or plan ahead or anything like that. No, it was always very impulsive, and then it would come with a lot of head farts. I don't know, that's the word that comes up at the moment. When I came across the Wim Hof Method, I didn't know what it was. I'd never heard of the Iceman, even though, yeah, it seems to be quite popular. I just saw a little ad on my Facebook. I was working somewhere, I was taking a break. I saw this ad, and something just, I just knew I had to go there. There was no doubt, there was no thinking. I saw the ad, I opened it up, said, this is what I need to do, paid the money, and done. And that was like one of the first times in a long time that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this thing. There was no weighing, there was no thinking about it. It just felt right. Then I showed up to the training. It was in Amsterdam on a kind of like late winter day. Learned the breathing and did the cold exposure. And from that moment on, yeah, I was just kind of hooked. One of the first things that I noticed in practicing this, one was I started to become much more conscious of my breathing. I started to do more deep breathing randomly. But one of the things that immediately jumped out the next day after I learned this technique was that I was at work, and we were working in teams. I was doing a factory job for a couple months in my hometown to come and visit my mom. And it was just a random job that I was doing. It was physical work. As a massage therapist, I always like to do jobs where I can study how people use the body, what kind of strains there are, and how to find a solution to work well. We were working in teams, and the management was pretty crappy. and there was always tension between the employees. We would work with 3 guys. As soon as one person would leave, there would be immediately gossip about that person, and then as they would come back, everybody was working together again. And people talking behind each other's backs. I mean, you probably know what I'm talking about if you've been in that kind of working environment. Just a lot of tension all the time. And I would get quite agitated by all these things because I was right in the middle of it. But after I learned this technique, I was still in the situation, but it didn't influence me as much anymore. I wasn't insensitive to it, but I was also not getting caught up in different stories, and I was much more in my own energy. So things would happen around me, but I felt less affected by it. But my awareness sharpened. So there was no desensitizing and I don't care or any kind of like whatever kind of attitude. It's like, okay, I recognize this and I can choose if I want to participate in it or not. And this was already something incredibly liberating. So I think, and this actually has also been proven, doing this technique, it helps to get into your own system. And actually, if you believe or know about these kind of things, clean the aura and clear your energy field. And having a lot more access to inner resources and being able to direct attention into different areas. Wim Hof talks about being the alchemist of your own chemistry, and things like any kind of negative emotion and positive emotion basically is a chemistry that happens within. So through this, we learn to direct this chemistry in order to have more uplifting experiences. So it can be a working environment. It can be your own environment. We can get into mental patterns and mental conditioning that actually are not particularly pleasant, but are happening in the background and might always kind of have a sense of tension, anxiety, despair, sadness, whatever it may be. There's a time and place for all these kind of things, but it's also nice to be able to take that, jump into it, and transform it in order to bring it back to a place of love and to a place of soulfulness. And when that happens, the situation might still be the same, but the perception starts to change. Seeing the light within the darkness. And not only seeing it, but experiencing it directly. So that's that. Another thing that I noticed in practicing this is when you actually go and do the breathing and also do the cold exposure, what I noticed taking a cold shower in the morning, it's one of the first things that I would do. Might not be particularly pleasant in the beginning, but the outcome afterwards would always feel much better. So, and having done that, I realized that other challenges that I was experiencing throughout the day, that I might normally just kind of avoid or postpone or something like that, I would just jump into it and just do it. And it made me a much more active person. I don't know if you have the experience of having things in your head. Oh, I have to do this, or I should do that, and I know I have to do it, but I can do it later, or I can do it some other time, or I'm going to think about something else. So the problem just kind of stays, and it's a little bit like a little pebble coming down the mountain. First it's a little pebble, and then it takes another little pebble with it, and it takes another little pebble with it, and then it becomes kind of like this storm of rocks crashing down the hillside with this big rumble and massive chaos. So for me, the Wim Hof method helped me to pick up those little pebbles that start from the beginning and immediately carrying them to a place that I want them to be, without too much effort, without having to understand all kinds of complicated things without having to go back into the past and or change things. Breathing into it, allowing it to burn, and then bringing it back to a place of peace. As I was practicing this, I could literally feel that tension would flow out of my body, and it would be immediately replaced by yes, strength with energy. And that is also how I came to realize that my previous experiences with, you know, the passing of my relatives, the situation with my mom, and all kinds of past issues, that it was literally stored in my body. And I knew about this through my experience as a massage therapist. But it was a different experience to sense how my body was actually letting go of these things, and that it would go in such a way that I would be conscious of the tension being released, and it would always happen in the dose that I was comfortable with. So in different therapies, many times people go into different areas of life that can be quite confronting, or things that happened that were not very pleasant, and then jumping into those experiences and figuring things out and changing them, and then somehow come to terms with it. I never really saw this work very, very effectively, but through this technique, through this method, it was just happening on its own. So it's a great way of introspection and allowing your natural self to come back to a state of balance and peace. Again, it's about tending that inner ecology and getting a heightened sense of the outer ecology as well. I would notice if I would do, for example, this meditation, the breathing, and I would be sitting by the sea, for example, and I would see a bird fly. I love to see birds fly. But with this, it would always take on a little bit of a different dimension to it. There's a bird flying, but I would feel connected with the bird. So that sense of connection with life also gets heightened. I think this is our true ability to interpret and to respond and to interact with life. And this is something that throughout our upbringings and cultures that has fallen to the background. We don't really learn how to make a conscious connection with ourselves or with the environment. We're always just responding to things, and we have to master everything. But it's a different experience to actually be part of those natural cycles. Not having to know anything either. The wisdom is there. It only requires the state and the place to flow. And then life starts to happen. There's a lot of interaction. There's a lot of information continuously flowing back and forth. And this technique helps to become part of that. I'm using here an iPad that is standing in front of me. It can do a lot of magnificent things, but when I connect it to the internet, when it's online, the possibilities start to exponentially increase. And this is what I feel, not the only technique, but it's a very direct technique that helps to bring the mechanism online. Does that make sense? To create that connection. There's one more thing that I wanted to mention about this. So 1, breathing. 2, gradual cold exposure. And 3, mindset. Just do it. The simplicity of it, I think, sets it apart from other techniques. And it works instantly. You don't have to believe anything. Now I know where I wanted to go. You don't have to believe in anything. You can apply it to anything that you are already doing in your life, and it will help to carry your activities. If you're into yoga, and you do this breathing, you oxygenate your body before you're doing your yoga. Your body is ready for the yoga. Okay. 2 more things I want to mention about the cold. The cold is a natural force. And what I like about the interaction with the cold is that it, like taking a cold shower, for example, it puts you into a deep, instant connection with a natural force. It's water and it's cold. So we can go through life kind of having superficial interaction with the natural environment, but and you can think whatever you want of it, but as soon as you get into cold water, that's it. You can think, oh, I'm very spiritual, oh, I am very in control of myself, but when you're in that connection with the cold water, your body and your mind just have this powerful experience. You probably want to get the hell out and won't be like, kind of go into a shock mode. And that's where the breathing comes in again. The connection with the breathing. And then learning how to control that breath in a challenging situation pretty much changes everything. So the cold is a very good instant guru. It will show you where you are at very, very quickly. And it will start teaching immediately because there's no way around it. So the body has a reaction. It becomes alive. The mind wants to run away. And at some point wants to take over. But you connect with your breathing, you enter the situation, the mind becomes still, and all of a sudden it's not a situation to run away from anymore, but it's something to embrace and enjoy. So, are you ready to try? Yes or no?
Yes.
All right. So this is just stop talking about it and let's just bloody do it part. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a round of this breathing technique. And like I said before, it's about breathing in deeply and letting go. Breathing in deeply and letting go. And as we're doing this, I'm not going to say belly, chest, head, whatever it means to you to take a deep breath in, that is how you're going to do it. And and that is one other side effect that I want to talk about here, is people that practice the Wim Hof technique, they look a lot at how many breaths to do and how long they're able to hold the breath after they have breathed out. So this morning I trained, for example, and I was holding my breath for 3 minutes. And I can be like, oh, yay, great. I hold my breath for 3 minutes. Oh, look at me, and this is great. And then the next day, I might hold my breath for 2 minutes, and I might think like, oh, shit, what's going on? Yesterday, I was able to hold my breath for 3 minutes. Now only for 2. What's going on here? So people very much look at this time. One key thing that Wim Hof says is feeling is understanding. It's not so important what the results are of what you're doing. But just feel it. It's not so important if you do 30 or 40 deep breaths in and out. It's about, do you feel your body getting charged? Do you start having those tingling sensations? Do you start to feel a little bit lightheaded? Are there different reactions going on in your body? You can only know what happens when you do the breathing. So there is no, it has to be like this or it has to be like this. It's all up to you. And your body, as you start to activate it, will start to give you different kind of information. Simple things like diet, for example. Your body will start telling you, you will start feeling that inner magnet will say, oh, now I won't feel like eating this. Now I feel like eating this. And in time, you start to feel like, yeah, the wisdom, that body wisdom becomes stronger and stronger. You don't have to think like, oh, am I going to eat this many calories? Oh, is this good for me? That inner compass kind of switches on and you just know. So feeling is understanding. Then also, your body will start telling you how many breaths you want to do or how you want to do your gradual cold exposure. Some people say like you have to start with warm showers and then after you do your showers, you do 10 or 20 seconds of cold shower and then start slowly increasing. It's kind of how I started as well. Or after some time, I would just turn on a really good song and then take a cold shower for the duration of the song. There's no one way. There's no book. Your body is the book. You become the content of the book. And as you look at the book, you start to, when you take a good look at the book, you start to read a really, really good book. But it's your book. So follow your intuition on this. When you set your intention, like I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do the breathing, and I'm going to do the cold exposure, your inner wisdom is going to kick in and it's going to bring you different challenges. There's no need to force anything. So as we do it, don't force your breath. Make sure to take your deep breath, but follow your feeling. Allow it to go as far as it's going to go. There's no right or wrong. So that's the only thing I want to say about that. When we're holding the breath, there's no right or wrong on how long you're holding your breath. You're comfortable, stay. You feel like you need to breathe, breathe. It's as simple as that. So I think this is one of the beauty of practicing this, is that inner wisdom, that inner connection started to guide the way. I talked with Begum a little bit about guides. And I believe that we have the soul as our inner guide, the inner being. And this is a way to open the space for that voice to come through, also like through counsel. The voice is always there, it's very subtle, but it's important to open the space for it and to hold that space. So the breathing takes you there. All right. Any questions or comments so far? I know I'm talking a lot, but before we start, is there anything you want to know? Or shall we just do it?
Shall we do the breathing? Are microphones turned on maybe or off to have a
let's do it off for now.
Okay.
And then we check in afterwards. And I'm going to show you the basic technique, and then we're going to check in with each other, and then we're going to do one more round, and we're going to call it the Whoosh breathing. It's going to be a little bit just to give a little creativity to it. Yeah. We're going to do 30 breaths. You don't have to count. I will do the counting. And the number 30 is just because it's you generally get quite oxygenated after 30 breaths. Then we're going to do the breathing out and hold. And I'm going to put the timer for 2.5 minutes. You don't have to hold your breath for 2.5 minutes because you might be able to do it, you might not be able to do it. But whenever you have the feeling that you want to breathe in, you just breathe in. You don't have to wait for me to say like, okay, now you can breathe in. Because yeah, 2.5 minutes might be a bit challenging in the beginning. Who knows? But when you feel like you breathe in, you take a deep breath in. We can do it all together now. And then hold. And as you're holding it, you can squeeze a little bit of air up to your head for 10-15 seconds, and then you let go. At this point, the 2.5 minutes might not be full yet, but what you do then is just connecting with your breathing in a relaxed way, relaxing your body. And then after 2.5 minutes, I'll say like, okay, that was round 1. And then we connect with each other again. Okay? So one last time, 30 breaths, deep breath in, breathing out. After the 30th breath, deep breath in, fully breathing out. No more lungs in the air. Hold. You wait until you want to breathe in again. Deep breath in, hold for 10-15 seconds, and then relax. Yes? All right. Make sure that you're comfortable. You can either sit or lie down. The relaxeder the body is, the more you can oxygenate it. When there's tension in place, it's difficult to send the oxygen there. So make sure you're comfortable. You ready? Put this. Okay, there we go. So take a deep breath in and let go. Deeply breathing in and let go. Deeply in and letting go. Deeply breathing in and letting go. And finding that flow deeply in and letting go. As if the movement of the waves, you keep on breathing in and out in this way. And letting go. Deeply in and letting go. Deeply breathing in and letting go. Kind of like a train that is starting to move and starting to pick up speed. You're oxygenating those engines. Finding a good rhythm that is comfortable to you. You're always deeply breathing in and letting go. Deeply in and letting go. Deeply in and letting go. And you might start to feel some tingling sensations. You might feel a little bit lightheaded. Just breathe into those sensations. Don't strain it, yet go deep. Deeply in and letting go. Coming to the last 10 breaths, deeply in and letting go. Deeply in and letting go. And now we're at 5. Deeply in. 4. 3. Continuing. 2. And 1. Take a last deep breath in. Blow all the air out. And hold. Relax your body. Relax your mind. Notice the sensations in your body. Sitting there with your awareness. Body is still. Mind is still. Simply relaxing. At any point when you feel that you need to take a deep breath in, you can do so. And until then, just remain in that peace, in that calm. One minute has passed. The mind and the body are resetting in this calm state, remembering what it is like to be quiet, to be still, and yet fully alive. A minute and a half. Feeling that comfort. You're actually in a deeply relaxed and meditative state right now. Instant meditation. When you feel the need to breathe, you deeply breathe in. Hold for 15 seconds and let go. Squeezing the air to the head. And then simply relax. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes so that I know that you're done. Until then, remaining relaxed, enjoying the sensation. So I think everybody's finished the first round. So, how's everybody doing? Yeah? Can we turn on the sound? How did that go?
Sure.
Was it easy? Was it hard?
Um,
Did you feel something? You didn't feel something?
Ayşe and Tini's microphones are off, so I start.
Yeah.
For me, it worked well, even though I couldn't hold my breath for even a minute. But then I am sure in the future it will improve.
Yeah.
And I automatically compare this now with other breathing techniques, with transformational breathing and the yoga breathing. This is fairly simple. For me, the only challenge was actually doing it only with my mouth, like in transformational breathing. It becomes, my mouth becomes dry and I feel like swallowing.
Yeah.
Doing this, yutkunmak. That was the only challenge. Otherwise, I found it really very effective compared to how easy it is to do. Actually, very effective. Yeah.
When you're holding your breath, how did you feel when you were doing that? Did
Very
you notice
peaceful. Yeah, things slow down. And I wanted to make it longer. That was like my mind speaking, you know, come on, do it more, do it more, do it more.
Yeah.
That was what happened to me.
That's the nice thing about doing a few rounds. Each round you become more oxygenized and you go deeper. So yeah. And the other thing is breathing through that's a question I often get, breathing through the mouth or through the nose. Wim Hof says, it doesn't matter which hole you use, just breathe. So there's no, you don't need to, like, if you feel more comfortable breathing through your nose, breathe through your nose. If you feel better breathing through your mouth, breathe through your mouth. I often also do both. Start breathing in through the mouth and then the last part through the nose, or the other way around. That's again that thing that just listen to your body, just do as you feel. There's no right or wrong. So you can play an experiment with that. And it will change over time too. What I notice is it never stays the same. There's always some other new thing to it. So nice. And Tenny?
It was very, very relaxing.
All right.
Actually, while holding my breath, there was an interesting feeling, very interesting comfort feeling, like I could stay there for 1 hour or something like that.
Yeah.
Of course, I couldn't hold for 2.5 minutes, but
No.
1 and 15 seconds.
Yeah.
But the feeling was that very comfortable.
And it's interesting that even though you're not having air in your lungs, that you can be comfortable, right? Because you would think, yeah, that becomes quite restricting or something like that, but it's a pleasant feeling.
Yes.
Yeah. And that is actually, another thing I like about this technique. Meditation, we often used to doing all kinds of complicated things in order to get there and then wondering, oh, am I meditating now or not? This kind of is a very physical way to get you into that meditative zone. And there's no doubt there. It's kind of being in that stillness in the deep waters. And people have experiences there, you know, realizations, visions. A month and a half ago, I had the opportunity to do ayahuasca. It just came into my life. And what I noticed, it was like doing this breathing, but a little bit more extended. The same chemistry happens in the mind. So you have your psychedelics at your disposal whenever you want. So this is, I think, very useful for creating intelligent evolutionary steps. Yeah. Getting higher in your own supply and becoming the alchemist of your own chemistry. This good feeling that you have for people, for example, with depression, the body recognizes the stillness, the body recognizes this sense of well-being and automatically wants to gravitate towards that. Like in nature, everything is always growing in growth and wanting to expand and wanting to improve. And this kicks in that kind of sensation. So, shall we do another one? Is that okay? Are we okay with time and all that?
Sure, the time is fine. Would Aisha like to talk? I don't know if she's able to turn on her microphone.
Is there anything you wanted to say also, Tenny? I kind of jumped into what you were saying.
I was going to ask, for example, in the morning, we do it 3 times, 3 cycles?
So if you want to take the advantage of that alkalinity that the body starts to get into, it's good to do it for about 20 minutes, which is about 3 to 4 rounds. The morning is a good time to do it because it's good to do it on an empty stomach. It doesn't mean you cannot do it with a full stomach, but you can oxygenate better. Also in the morning, your body is still relaxed from your sleep. So as it in a relaxed state, you can charge it more optimally. So typically in the morning, I do 3 to 4 rounds, but it doesn't, this last few weeks I've been working 12-hour days, and I need to wake up at 4:30. Then if I don't get up at 4:30, but I get up at 4:45, then I don't have as much time to do my 4 rounds, for example. So I do 2 or I do 1. So again, it's what you can do and also what is practical. But 4 rounds, you get the full benefit. Then usually before I go to bed, I do 1 or 2 rounds before going to sleep, because it's also a really good way to empty your mind and get your body into the relaxed state and go into the sleep mode easier. And then throughout the day, 1 or 2 rounds in between breaks or whenever you feel like it is also works really well. Does that answer your question?
Thank you so much.
And you will also notice that you will start taking more deep breaths. For example, when your mind is very full, or you need to just do something, or you feel relaxed, all of a sudden your body will just go like, it feels good to take a deep breath. It's actually a chronic disease, shallow breathing. This is, taking a deep breath is the first step to medicine for any disease, really. So,
thank you.
Thank you. So this what we did now, you can actually go and you can look on YouTube, but Wim Hof has a free app called the Wim Hof Method. And then there's a guided meditation that you can go along with this. So when you want to do it in the morning, you put on the app and you can immediately breathe along with Wim Hof doing the counting and doing some of the meditative, suggestive stuff, so that you don't have to, then you can just follow along. There's a course you can take, which is a 10-week course. But the essential practice, you can do it for free. This is something that I really appreciate about Wim Hof as well. It's like you don't have to pay money in order to learn this. And you get a lot of extra exercises and things that you can do just by downloading the app. So that's really, really nice. And I did the course where you can learn more detailed stuff to get over inflammation and all these different things. But it always, if you just practice the basics, which I do more than I do the complicated things, you have everything you need in order to practice this. So, but one thing that I want to do as one exercise, as the Whoosh breathing, is it might be a little bit advanced, but I want you to get a sense of what you can do with it. For example, a couple of weeks ago, I don't know if you can see it, but I cut myself. I was working with a friend of mine. We were tearing down an old farm here in my area. So lots of rubble and bricks and all kinds of demolition. And everything was fine. And then on a Sunday afternoon, I was cutting an orange with my new knife. And my knife hit my thumb here and just split it right open. It was a very sharp knife. So I had to get stitches. And one of my big fears in life is needles and things like that. So I had to go to the hospital room, and then I was sent to another hospital because I needed to see a specialist. And then this time I was just dreading to get those stitches, needles and things, and it would freak me out. And right before we started, the doctor got a phone call. And so I was like, okay, nice. Postpone it. But in that time, I had the opportunity to do 2 rounds of the Wim Hof breathing. So I'm sitting there with my hand and in full anxiety about getting these stitches. And I did my 2 rounds, and it was a perfect example. Like, the situation didn't change, but my perspective on how I dealt with it was completely different. So I was breathing into my anxiety, feeling my fear, knowing that it was kind of irrational and maybe from older times. But as I went into the holding part of the breath, I came to terms with it. I came to peace with it. And by the time I did my 2 rounds, I could still sense a little bit of the anxiety, but it was a completely different experience. I was ready for it. I was like, all right, let's make it happen. And I can stay in my center and I can stay in my peace. And the doctor did its thing, and it was a really pleasant experience. So where I would normally go into full anxiety, now I had much more control over my emotions. And it cut that anxiety probably by about 90 to 95%. And it was pleasant. So as we're talking about seeing the light in the darkness, I want to invite you to kind of sense for yourself if there's anything happening in your life right now or today that gives you that kind of darkness sense in your heart, somewhere where you might feel a bit heavy, or that your mind is occupied with. Can be something, a question that you have, or something emotional that you're dealing with. Anything that gives you that sensation of like, it would be nice if this would be different. It would be nice if I would feel more light in this situation. It's something that is very present, that is just right there. That is presenting itself in order to transform it. Did you find something, Tenny? Yeah, okay. Can really be anything. For me, it was doing this webinar, for example, this morning. Begum? Found something? Yeah.
Yes.
So typically I'm not into getting into problems and stuff like that, but you notice things in life, and sometimes you carry something. So now we're going to play with this. So we're going to do the same rounds of breathing, and as you're breathing, I kind of want you to breathe into that experience, into that problem, into that issue, whatever it might be. And if it's fear, just breathe into the fear and just dive into it. And then after we're doing the holding breath, we see what happens. So is everybody ready? And for the next round, I'll hold it for 2 minutes. So pick your issue and let's go. So take a deep breath in and breathe out. Deeply in and breathe out. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. And again, finding your own flow, finding your own rhythm where you can deeply breathe in and then gently breathe out. A constant flow, constant motion, like waves rolling in and out. Deeply in and breathe out. The breaths are full, comfortable, relaxed. And breathe out. Deeply in and breathe out. Deeply in and breathe out. Oxygenating the body, letting go. You might start feeling different sensations. Just notice them, breathe into them. As you continue to breathe into that issue or thoughts, or whatever it may be that you chose. Literally blowing it up, diving into it. And fully in, and breathe out. Fully in, and breathe out. And now we come to the last 10. We go 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. Intensify the breath a little bit for the last 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. And deeply breathe in. Fully blow out. And hold. Relaxing the body, relaxing the mind. Lowering your heart rate. Releasing your thoughts. Sitting in comfort and stillness. Knowing that whenever you feel the need to breathe in, you can do so. And until then, enjoying that deep relaxation. Connecting with your body, with your heart. Body and mind are resetting, remembering. When you feel the need to breathe, you deeply breathe in, hold it for 10 to 15 seconds, squeezing the air to your head and relaxing. And now we have reached 2 minutes, so wherever you're at, you can close this round now. Relax. Enjoy. And then whenever you're ready, you can gently open your eyes, show me that you're done. Take your time, follow your feeling. All right, so we can open our mics again. How did that go? Welcome back.
The problem is not much important now.
Yeah. Is that how it feels?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How was it like for you doing this?
Actually, very interesting. At the first step, same thing happened. Generally, I don't remember my dreams that I see at night, but the scenes came in front of my eye from last night. Oh, yes, that was happened.
Nice. Great. And then from when you started with that issue that you chose, and now you already mentioned it's not so important anymore. Yeah, what do you notice there when you think of that problem?
Before we have started, or for example, it was something that I was thinking yesterday also, the feeling was very heavy. But now it feels lighter.
Okay.
I think these are the right words that I can explain.
Yeah. Nice. Great. So, yeah, I hope. So this is something that this is one way you can play with this breathing. If you're really occupied with something, just breathe into it. Not changing it, just jumping in it, connecting with it. And then typically when you go into that relaxed state, I think we're closer to our heart energy. Things start to shift and settle and change. Or just be there. But you can still be fine within that. Kind of, we call it going into the eye of the storm, so to speak. The storm is raging, but you're there, you're present. How about you, Begum?
Same for me. The problem doesn't feel so important anymore. It's lighter. And I feel like I'm reminded again how important it is to stay in my center no matter what's happening around me. And actually, not only that, staying in my center, probably I am changing whatever is happening around me too. So it was a very good reminder for that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, what amazes me all the time is that actually the process is quite simple, but that the changes or the effects are quite profound. Like 5 minutes ago, this could still be a problem, but now the perspective has changed. And I think, like you say, you have become different. I think when there's a problem, we become different, then everything becomes different. We even change our history. And a lot of the research that is being done with this method now, how it can influence DNA directly, because we really dive into that kind of cellular memory. Also a little bit of an example with Tenny, you remember the dream. See, that information is there, but with a quiet mind, yeah, you start to notice, you start to be present with it. Is there anything else that came up that needs to be said or shared or asked?
Hi, I want to share something with you. It was amazing experience to me. And the first time I felt very pressure on my brain. But the second time, I feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the first time, a lot of dark thoughts or visions came to me. And the second time, it was different. It was more peaceful. Maybe I did something wrong the first time. I don't know. Maybe and the last part you said breathing in and hold it, right? I think the first time I did breathing in and breathing out, and after that I hold.
That's how it's done. Yeah. So your last breath is a deep breath in, then you fully breathe out so that you don't have air in your lungs, and then you let go. Then you hold.
Okay.
So first time you did correctly.
Okay. So that's my experience, but it was great. Thank you for sharing this method, Yuri. You are awesome. Thank you so much. I'm
yeah,
so
thank you.
good.
And you are Aisha, huh?
Yes, I am Aisha.
Yeah. Sorry, I hadn't noticed because I have 3 screens here that you had returned. So nice that you were able to join.
Yeah, because I have something in my camera, so I did something wrong in the computer. I don't know. I figured out after that.
Okay. And from what you said, I just want to mention this. So whenever you feel any tension building up in your body from breathing, just let go a little bit. It's no need to force anything. And at the same time, sometimes you might start feeling some pressure or some tight areas that might already be tight or are ready to let go or to process. But it's important to go deep, but then also to be gentle for yourself. You don't need to force anything.
Okay.
I call this a progressive practice. There is what there is in the moment, and everything has its right time to process. Therefore, you don't need to force. You don't need to hold your breath longer than is comfortable. You don't have to breathe deeper than that is comfortable. That will come over time. As you practice, your body will tell you to go deeper, to hold longer, but always keep your comfort and your ease as #1 priority.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got it. Thank you so much.
So many times I did that also in the beginning. I was like, oh, I really want to do this, and then I go force those breaths in. Allow your deep breath. Just allow it to happen rather than forcing it to happen. And then as you train, as you practice, it will go deeper and change. And yeah, it's beautiful to witness how that kind of organically starts to build and grow. But nice that you had that experience and that observation. And then if there's any tension in your head that stays, for example, you can do another round breathing into that tension. Simply being aware of it, bringing your breath towards that, and then you will notice that after a few rounds also that will start to dissipate.
Yeah, and also greatest thing is very simple. You can do everywhere and every time. Yeah. So that's the great part for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, that's what I love about it too.
Yeah.
You don't have to believe in something. You don't have to make it more complicated than it is. Yeah. And and that's a good reminder of the second pillar or third, whatever you want to put it. But yeah, the just do it part.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So, like I said, the app is for free. The method is for free. Yeah, it'll be interesting to play around with this a little bit. Again, I want to say thank you to Begum for this opportunity. I've been around construction workers for the last couple of weeks, so it was good to get into a different headspace. So it was a good reminder, and hope we can do it again sometime. So yeah, thank you very much. Are we good? Is there anything that needs to be shared before we close?
Thank you so much. That was great.
Thank you. Great, thank you. So if this is good if you're interested in continuing, check the app, check the website. You can contact me anytime. about any questions or something like that. Or if you just want to share an experience or an insight, I'm very interested to hear more. I've been doing lately a lot of my own things. And now I think this is a good bridge and a good step to start sharing a little bit more with the outside world. So, thank you for that, Begum.
Thank you.
Hey. Well, happy, healthy, strong. Go for it. And, interesting times. More good stuff than bad stuff. And that's another thing. This is a very empowering practice, It doesn't depend on anything but yourself. So government and all of that and Corona. This is a very great way to also boost your immune system, by the way. Wim Hof is also showing, and this was done in a comparative study. 30 people were injected with a flu virus. And through this method, they expelled this virus from their body within 15 minutes. And these people were trained in only a few hours. So it has a big cleansing effect. It has a very boosting effect. And so, you're tapping into your own inner pharmacy and maximizing the well-being of your being. Now, why not? So send you much love and have a good time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. See you.
Thank you.